I am Shruti.
I'm Shukti.
Hi, I'm Shreeya, and welcome to episode 3 of Natter.
Woo woo!
Girlies, how are we today?
All right. I had a crazy dream last night, but I'm not going to talk about that right now because I was thinking of making a short film out of it.
Oh.
So maybe you guys will all get to see my dream in a while. Apart from that, I got a really exciting job opportunity, right? But then, which I think did heard about earlier on in the day because we were like having a natter, as we do in the day anyway. But then they literally offered me the worst pay ever. It was like a quarter of what I got on my last job.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
A quarter. Yet the post was higher. It just made, and it wasn't even like some crappy production house. It was like a decent production house that's made, okay, not many projects, but they've made projects with like well-known celebrities. And they offered me a quarter of what my market rate is.
You can't even negotiate up from there. Starting
I
I was
can't even
like,
negotiate. It wasn't even enough to cover my rent.
Oh god,
You know,
that is.
it was covering my rent just about, but that's it. Like, okay, so I'll have a place to live. I can't use electricity. I won't be able to get to work because I can't afford rickshaws anymore, and I can't eat because I can't afford food. That's how I'd have to live.
Did you express your dissatisfaction?
Yeah, I did. I said, I really want to do like jump on some like good creative work. So I don't mind taking a pay cut, right? If it's a project like I believe in. Like I did a project called Goldfish during COVID, and I took a little less than what I was used to taking because I really liked the concept. So it was quite funny because when they approached me, I gave my CV and the EP on it, or I think she might have ended up being a producer on it, I don't remember. She was like, oh, no, we can't afford you, it doesn't matter. And I was like, no, go on, tell me what your concept is and whatever. And I think she sent me the script and I was like, oh my God, I love this script. And like I did it for less money which even made sense because it was COVID times. So like no one was really working, and me being a freelancer, like I needed something. But now, like, why would you? I don't know. The weird thing is she saw my CV. She saw that I've been working for 10 years. She saw that I work on big projects or have access to big projects as well. So to offer me that kind of money was ridiculous. And she read my work as well. Like she read pages that I've written.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, oh yeah, we're just hiring you as a regular generic or assistant director. It was someone who was supposed to be creatively involved. So I really wonder what kind of person they're going to get for that much money. It'd have to be a newbie who's not worked much. But anyway, ran over. After that, I made some paneer pronti for dinner today.
Yum.
Yeah.
And we had a conversation earlier on how to make chickpeas in a pressure cooker.
Yes, because I wanted to make some chickpea salad, but I had them with day and pickle. Mango pickle.
Yum.
What do you guys do today?
I went to work. Came home, chilled with the kiddos that are not my kiddos.
They're my kiddos.
They're your kiddos. Chilled with the kiddos. Ate dinner. And now I'm chilling with you guys. That's it. That's all I did.
And I went to work also. I am not going to sing. I also worked, and then I did a bit of cooking. And if you can call pasta cooking, I put some pasta in because it was easy.
You can call pasta
and then
cooking.
I guess so. And then I went to pick up my kiddos from Shreeya's house, where Shreeya lives, basically. Yeah, we probably have to explain that dynamic a little bit. But basically, my parents...
We do not share custody. Let's start there.
It sounds so weird, doesn't it? Just like saying it like that. I went to pick up my kids from my house. No. Because Shreeya still lives with the parents, and my parents pick up my kids from school because that allows me to fulfill my full working shift. And then after I've finished working and after I've fed myself occasionally, sometimes before I fed myself, I go and pick up the kids and bring them home, put them to bed. And now I'm with you guys, having a natter.
Having a natter. Yeah.
So our topic for today is something that Shreeya is quite passionate about.
I'm very passionate,
I would say. And she's quite knowledgeable on the topic. So Did and I would probably be the ones that ask the questions this time, and Shreeya will be the one doing the majority of the nattering. And the topic is cruelty-free products and generally cruelty-free lifestyle in general. So yeah, so go on, take it away.
I'm going to take it away. Okay, so cruelty-free things in life. Let's just start there. What is it? Cruelty-free means products or drugs, like, you know, things like paracetamol, medication, everyday household items like cleaning products. It doesn't even have to just be cosmetics that are not tested on animals. That's what cruelty-free is. Okay? Do we need to be testing on animals? What's your guys' opinion on that? Let's start there.
See, I think for frivolous things, such as what I would term as frivolous, like things like cosmetics, there should be no need to test on animals, because a lot of the ingredients that you use within cosmetics should have already been tested in the past. Like, what new innovative things are they putting in our cosmetics?
You would think so, right? Cosmetics have been around for so long. So what is it new that we are testing?
So for things like that, things like detergent and all that kind of stuff, where there's no innovation required, I don't think there should be any tests on animals. With drugs, it's a little bit of a grey area for me. And the only reason is because I have a couple of friends who work in pharmaceuticals. And when you are researching drugs, there are certain safeguarding measures that you have to put against human subjects, if you want to call them subjects. I think they're called participants now. But, you know, in drug trials and things like that, you have to proceed with a degree of caution, because you don't want to end anyone's life in the pursuit of innovating drugs. So that's where I have a bit of grey area. I do not think, you know, because we can't test on humans, that we must test on animals. Maybe they are skin cells and things that we can test on. But I am aware that that technology is A, expensive, B, in kind of its infancy. So that's why, in order to save human lives, they test on animals. I don't like it, but if someone gives me a life-saving drug that I need that has been tested on animals, I'm not in a position to say no right now.
That's understandable, because like in comparison to cosmetics, makeup and things like that, it's more like a want than a need, whereas medication is, like you said, life-changing, life-saving kind of thing. So you want to take extra precautions there.
Yeah.
So then let's go on to what we were saying about makeup then. So you mentioned that like there's no innovation in there necessary. But then what's being put into makeup and what's put on our faces, should that be ingredients that then needs to be tested on animals? Why is it already potentially unsafe?
Also, right, I'm just wondering, if it's being tested on an animal, that doesn't necessarily mean it'd be okay for us, right?
Yeah.
Because we've got a different type of skin and genetic makeup in general. So I wonder if it's just a pointless thing right now. And especially because a lot of people have started using more natural ingredients these days anyway. And they're trying not to use as much chemical. So then, I do wonder what's the purpose. Unless it's stuff like a couple episodes ago, we were talking about cosmetic treatments. Right? You know, I had a consultation with a dermatologist and she's like, oh, I'm going to get, you know, I recommend this Hydra booster to you. And they give you like a cocktail of different things. I didn't have it, obviously. I just went for a consultation. And she was going to inject my face with all these like serums and stuff, I guess. I mean, but I don't know what that would be made of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's clearly not natural stuff. I mean, it must be lab made, right?
Because I think things like collagen, they are mostly animal derived, aren't they? I think there's a plant derived collagen available, which is made from seaweed, I believe. Again, I'm not knowledgeable about this, but I think that a lot of there's certain anti-aging ingredients that can only come from an animal source, or predominantly come from animal sources. But
it's like a byproduct, so it's easy to access. And so then it's cheaper than plant derived, isn't it?
Yeah. Although I'm not sure about, so that ingredients, I'm aware that there's a lot of animal derived ingredients. In terms of testing, that seems like an added layer of cruelty that's potentially unnecessary. Like you mentioned, Shukti, I think animals are not humans, so therefore how can something that's fit for animal consumption be fit for human consumption? But I think it's to do with the percentage similarity, and that's like their closest alternative. Sorry, I think once they go through the animal trials and they are successful in the animal trials, I think then they go on to the human trials.
That is how it happens. So let's talk about how successful the human trials are then after the animal trials. How much do you reckon it is?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
So like 90% fail.
Oh,
Oh.
So like, is it even necessary in the end? Like, how much waste goes into that? Money wise, just skill wise, we could be doing much better, I'm sure. And like you mentioned earlier, Shruti, we could just be using it through like skin cells. Why are we not just doing that? Like, we have plant-based meat being grown in the lab now from skin cells taken from animals. So that, sorry, I said plant-based meat, but it's not plant-based, sorry. They can
grown.
clone animal cells to then grow meat. That's what I meant to say. So then why is it that we're still testing on animals when we could just test on skin cells, like you just said?
And does that have the same nutritional value as eating meat? Is it all the same?
Yes,
yeah, it's
I
like
believe so.
literally cloning it.
Yeah,
they're able to grow meat.
But that would be more but that would be more expensive than...
Yeah, it would be more expensive.
Yeah.
So then this is where the whole ethics of it comes into it. Right? So like, is this kind of a humane concept to do?
Yeah.
And kind of thing, is it ethical to do this? Like, yes, it's expensive, but there's also wastage in the money aspect of it, when 90% of trials are failing anyway by the time it gets to human clinical stages.
Yeah,
that's a crazy amount of failure.
So yeah, I do understand it though, like what you said about life saving medicine and things like that. But the majority of it, where is it used? Cosmetics is like a massive business worldwide. Like, I'm sure a lot of it goes into that.
Since Shreeya's been kind of advocating for cruelty-free products, we've all kind of made an effort. Made an effort is an understatement. I think we've all just got rid of our products that weren't cruelty-free, right? And actually, the brands that we've ended up using have been really effective for us anyway.
I think they have, yeah, for sure.
I swear by, like, there's some things that I swear by, like Shreeya introduced me to the e.l.f. concealer. I swear by it. I think it's great. Body Shop's mascara. With Indian brands, there's K by Katrina, like lipstick and stuff, which I've started using, or even Huda Beauty, and they're all really good. Eyeliner again is Body Shop, and blush is, what is it? What's my blush, Shrees? Revolution. Is it Revolution?
Yeah, your blush is...
Yeah, that's a really good brand. Revolution's a great brand.
Even things like shampoo. Like, I've switched from, I can't remember what I used to use, to be honest. I just can't remember what I used to use. Because it's been, how long? When did you turn vegan? Like 10 years ago?
Yeah, I turned vegan 10 years ago. I turned cruelty-free when I was 18.
I didn't know that.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't know that it was a lagged thing. I thought it was both at the same time.
Yeah.
No, it was, I went cruelty-free first, and it was totally by the influence of social media. Otherwise, I would have not have known how animals were tested on. Like, it's literally, these videos of like inside labs and stuff. That's how I became aware of it. No, and it was the same thing again with me turning vegan later on, which is only a couple of years later on, maybe a year and a half later on or something like that. It was the same way that I discovered it.
Do you guys feel a bit gaslit by a lot of these larger firms that are not cruelty-free when you research into it, but when you look at their profiles online, they imply that they are cruelty-free because they hide the fact, they kind of put a clause in that kind of disguises the fact that they do test on animals where it's required by law. And I think that's such a shady way to get around the entire cruelty-free movement, so that obviously they do want your money, irrespective of your kind of like leaning on the matter in terms of cruelty free. But I just find it really sneaky, actually. The fact that they do that.
But right, so if I'm honest, right, when you hear that something has been tested on an animal, right, when you're not thinking about what that means, it'd be like, it's not a big deal, right? So Shrees, can you just talk us through, what does it mean exactly, graphically? Like, tell us, what does it mean to be testing on animals? What's the outcome of that?
Do you want to know?
I do want to know exactly what that means.
Okay, so the worst kind that I have heard of is for like menstrual products being used on animals in terms of blood, in where you get a rabbit and you produce an open wound and put a tampon in.
Oh my god, no way.
Oh my god.
To see if like Obviously there's chemicals in all of these products as well. You don't think it, you think surely it's just like a bit of cotton. No, it's not. There's a lot of stuff in there. But so it's again to see like how that reacts. Now, again, this, like, is it necessary? Is the blood of a rabbit the same as menstrual blood?
Menstrual blood.
No, it is
Yeah.
not. And then you think about the menstrual products themselves. Are they tested with menstrual blood? No, they're not. What is the need? So it's things like this. And again, with, I'll say rabbits, they are used a lot in animal testing, but they will put these individual ingredients that they use that are chemicals, like just drop them straight into their eyes to see like how potent they can be until they begin to irritate.
Oh God.
You know, so like,
and what happens to the animals once this test has been done on them? Like, are they given any aftercare?
No, it is exactly how you expect animals to be raised in like cages. They're just all shoved in cages, and they're all just kind of in there until they're of no use, and then they're disposed of. It's as simple as that. That's what they're there for. That's what they're bred for, to be tested on.
Yeah, also.
You know, and it doesn't just stop there. It's not even just the testing part of it. Then it's products like makeup brushes that are then using animal fur.
Yeah.
Instead of like synthetic brushes. Do you know what I mean?
That
like
came as a shock to me.
Eyelashes, what's going on there?
Yeah, that came as a massive shock to me because I cannot fathom why you would require animal fur. Then there was that entire expose, wasn't there, on the UK high street a few years ago, where they said that lots of items marked as faux fur and they weren't faux fur, and the reason that they weren't is because it's actually cheaper to produce, like it's cheaper to produce real fur than it is faux fur.
Yeah. And there's also, you know, I saw this article before, and unfortunately I just do not remember what it's called, but they do cover it up with names that you just would not recognize to hide the fact that it is animal fur that's being used. So they'll sell it as synthetic, but then when you actually read the labels and you know what it is that you're reading, it turns out that it is an animal somewhere down the line as well.
And the thing is, it's the things that are, like you said, they are wants, they're not requirements in any way. So for something so superficial, you're inflicting pain on something so needlessly. On a being, on a living being, so needlessly.
Well, here's another thing. We're talking about pain, and I see this discussion come up so many times when it comes to animal cruelty, when it comes to veganism, when it comes to animal welfare, just being considerate to another living creature. People still have this debate on, can animals feel pain?
No.
Yes.
I can't believe that's a debate, because if you run after a chicken, it'll run away from you. It's got instinct.
Well, then they'll argue that
pain.
that's fear and it's not pain. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to say they, because they're definitely not part of my kind of people, right? They do argue that animals do not feel pain, or do not feel it to the extent that we feel it, or they have a large capacity to feel pain. There is this debate. People genuinely feel that animals are here for us to just use.
Right, okay. Can I tell you like a ridiculous thing? Okay. So I kid you not, sat in a room where someone has literally said, why are there more chickens in the world than there are lions? It's because God wants us to eat the chickens and not the lions. Okay, I'm not even joking. And the way I've had to bite my tongue so that I don't get in trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they a lot of people, right? The main thing is they don't understand that these animals are bred so that they can be consumed in whatever way. They don't understand
supply and demand, basically.
They don't understand it, right? For whatever reason, I can't even explain why they don't understand it. But unfortunately, right, also, it's not the younger generation. I think the younger generation pretty much has it clocked, okay? But the older generation, like, for example, our like Bar's age, our parents' age, where you can't even argue after a point, right? Like, if you argue, then it's seen as disrespectful.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even say anything, but it was like, oh my God. I remember there was one of my colleagues sat opposite me, and me and her made eye contact, and like, but we were like, what on earth are we sat here listening to? It's the most ridiculous thing.
They say it really matter of fact as well, don't they? I think it's just delusion, and also it's a way to pacify yourself and make yourself feel better about this innate guilt that I think a lot of people have. Like, I'm a vegetarian, I'm not a vegan, I still feel an element of guilt. I think some people do feel an element of guilt, and it's their justification is to come up with nonsense like that.
No, I don't think these people are not the ones that are guilty. They don't have an element of guilt. They genuinely believe animals are here for consumption. And you know what? I'm not even going to judge anyone's lifestyle, but torturing an animal when it's not necessary, that's where it kind of... I mean, you guys know I'm a hardcore vegetarian, like hardcore vegetarian. Like I've never even tried meat or whatever, but I'm not one to judge another person's lifestyle. And if you want to eat meat, okay, fine, you know, good for you. But then when you know that an animal is getting tortured, like for example, once you kind of see that there's alternatives. We used to eat eggs, or at least I used to eat eggs. I've stopped eating eggs now, but like I used to eat eggs, but it was always get the free range version, not always, since the beginning of time. I think we never had the caged chicken version. It's like spend like what 50p extra and just get the free range ones. So we always have done that. But you know, the people that don't care, it's not, I don't think it's that they don't care. I think they don't know, right? And they've been fed nonsense, because I can't imagine anyone who is mentally stable, right? And I'm actually saying mentally stable because we've all seen that show Don't F Word with Cats, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
The more people, I have a theory on this, the more people mess with animals, the more they get desensitized to, you know, something being in pain, and the more likelihood it is that they're going to end up committing crimes on humans.
Yeah.
That's a fact. That's actually a fact. They said that children who inflict harm on animals are, I don't even know what the percentage is, but very, very likely to be criminals in their later life and inflict that kind of pain on humans in the end. Because it's like... Yeah,
it's also like that. You remember that kid in Toy Story? What was that kid called in Toy Story 1?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Grew up, you know he grew up to be some kind of criminal, and he's probably in prison now. Whereas Woody and them lot are living their best life.
They need to have some
Woody,
adult
Jessie,
spin-off of that.
Andy.
I'm sure the toys are, but you mean Andy, yeah?
Andy, yeah. Andy's living his best life.
I think they should do a spin-off for all the kids now that they're older. Let's see where they're at. Yeah, but it'd have to be like a grown-up film.
Yeah.
With the criminal, with the crazy criminal.
Right, so we touched on it a little bit earlier, Shukti, you did, about products that you've started using that are cruelty-free. From my influence that I introduced you to, do we all love the e.l.f. Camo Concealer or what?
It's the best. It's the only concealer that actually matches perfectly. It's brilliant.
The matches on the shades on these concealer are amazing.
It's the colour match and the non-cakiness of it. It's got a really good formulation, I think. It's really quite moisturising.
Yeah.
Which is great for someone like me who's a bit... Well, you guys saw me rubbing my eyes yesterday.
Oh, yeah. That was quite dramatic.
It doesn't settle into your fine lines, guys. Try it.
Yeah.
I mean, not just like a good colour match, it also gives really good coverage, right?
Yeah, it does.
It's not really good coverage, like, and you only need a little bit of it to like cover your dark circles and whatever. So I really like, I always stock up on it whenever I come home back to the UK.
Yeah.
Although I found e.l.f. actually in Mumbai, but it doesn't do the concealer in my colour over here. They don't do the lip crayons that we really love. So e.l.f., if you're listening in the Mumbai branches, can you please have the praline lip crayon? praline, thank you.
I don't know. Why would they not have the concealer in your colour in Mumbai, considering...
So it's not a e.l.f. shop, right? It's like a smaller shop where they have like 3 shelves that are e.l.f. I think they're just trying it out here.
Oh, so they've probably got a limited range.
Yeah.
Got you.
So, just going back to the coverage, because I have to say, since I started using this concealer, I have never had to use foundation ever again.
No, I'm not using foundation pages.
I've not touched a foundation. I've not looked at a foundation. I've not needed it. This concealer is absolutely
I will literally just wear a foundation for your wedding shucks, and that's it.
Yeah, like if you're feeling fancy, then just for the sake of it, you can put on foundation. Like, because I think I do that because it's like a psychological thing that, I'm feeling fancy, so I need to put a lick of foundation on. But you don't actually need it on a day-to-day basis. I don't think I've not used foundation in ages.
But
anyway, but I think what might be stopping people from becoming cruelty-free is, one, maybe they don't even acknowledge it. Like you said, you hear like something's been tested on animals and you just don't really think about it. You don't think what an animal is going through, what that even means. But like how accessible that is now is insane. I don't even think people realize it. There's so many products now that are cruelty free, that everything that I use now, and you guys know how hard I go in on cosmetics in terms of skincare, in terms of makeup, hair products, sun cream, household, like in this house, I now have the main bathroom because you guys are not here, so it's mine. But all the cleaning products in there are also cruelty free. You know, even from like the sprays that I'm using, everything's cruelty free and it's vegan. Now, okay, let me just touch on this real quick. Cruelty free and vegan are not the same thing. Okay. So something can be cruelty free but still have animal products in. Okay. So we can still have like honey, for example, right? So Lush is a brand that we all know is fabulously cruelty free and does a lot for communities and all that charity stuff. And it's fantastic. But it does sometimes use animal products like honey. So it's not the same as vegan as such, right? So just to touch on that a little bit right there. Okay, so now that we're clear on the whole differentiation between vegan and cruelty free, let's talk more about the like accessibility of it all. So there seems to be this understanding, this notion that if something is cruelty free or hasn't been tested or is more natural ingredients and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be expensive, right? That's the general idea. But people do not realize how affordable these products really are. Like everything that I use, I've been using most of it since before I was in full-time employment. It is affordable. I've been able to afford it. So if you think about that, I can only really speak for UK because unless I'm visiting you in Mumbai, I don't really shop for cosmetics anywhere else. So I'll have to talk about UK predominantly. I'm not sure what else is available elsewhere. But a big place that everyone can go to, everyone has access to, is Superdrug. And they talk about being cruelty free so much. They have announcements when you're in store all the time about their products being vegan. And if they're not vegan, they are at least cruelty free. And they do so much of their own branded stuff, right? Do
you want to give an explanation as to what Superdrug are? Because it might not be completely evident.
Sure. Okay. Superdrug is like a cosmetic store. They do everything from like makeup, toiletries, like you can get your toothbrushes there. You can get even like baby food pouches there. You can get nappies there. You can get medication there. Hair straighteners, you can get your eyebrows done, you know, like you can get your fragrances there, you can get your false eyelashes, everything. I do such a haul when I go to Superdrug. I will start at the front and I will go through their own branded skincare stuff that I'm using right now, like salicylic acid for, you know, my scarring and things like that on my skin, because I have to admit I am quite hormonal. Okay, it's not just my emotions. It's not all drama. It does, my skin gets affected too. Okay, so I do use that. That is Superdrug's own brand. Again, very affordable because that can be very expensive if you look at other brands that I won't name. And it's the same product. It's just expensive. So I use salicylic acid. I hope I'm saying that right. But I hope you all understand what I mean by that. But yeah, like it's essentially the same product, right? Everyone's using it. And things like retinol and stuff as well is a big thing. You can get the cruelty-free versions of that. Do you know what I mean? Like it's very affordable. You don't have to go and get the big branded stuff. This works. Trust me, it works. I get compliments now on my skin was not great, and I have gone cruelty-free. And these things are not only using better ingredients that are safe for your skin, do not need to be tested in a horrific way on animals. You can just buy them at an affordable price. They are accessible and they're good for your skin. You're not putting ridiculous ingredients on your skin or anything like that, right? I am using deodorants that are Superdrug own.
Yeah, no, I love the deodorants. The Superdrug's deodorants, I actually really like them. I always stock up on them. Yeah. They're really good.
And once I'm done with skincare, and I mean like their moisturizer, I use. Their cleansers, face wash, exfoliants, I use. Right? And I'm not talking about those microbeads stuff that, you know, like we're not allowed to use them anymore. Like these are like proper scrubs. Like they get the stuff out. They don't harm the environment in that kind of way or anything like that. They're good for your skin, so they're good for the environment. It's the same thing. And then from there, I move on to like makeup. I get all my makeup from there. Concealer. I get my mascara from there. I get my powder from there to set my concealer. I get my eyebrow pencil. I get my lip pencil, I get my lipsticks, I get my lip gloss, I get my lip stains, I get my blusher, I get my bronzer, I get my setting spray, I get my primer, I get my eye cream, I get my nail polish,
just say,
I get my eyelashes.
Disclaimer, we are not sponsored by Superdrug. This is just Shreeya's, you know, it's her emotion towards this store where she gets all her stuff from.
And can I just add, because I don't wear much makeup anymore, but the one thing that I have taken from the cruelty-free thing is that I'm very conscious about the homeware products that I use. So like washing powder, for example, I use the cruelty-free brand now.
Yeah.
And same with my household, like household detergent itself is cruelty free. But like my surface sprays as well, they're all cruelty free now. I don't know what the availability of things like this is like in India, for example. But in the United Kingdom, they're very clearly labelled as cruelty free. We've got the Leaping Bunny logo on a lot of things, including cosmetics that Shreeya mentioned, but also other products as well.
Yeah, I was going to mention actually, just very quickly, that Leaping Bunny logo. If people are ever confused and are like, oh, I'm not about to look at ingredients and stuff, you see a leaping bunny. And I have to say, there's a few brands out there that have been a little bit sneaky and they're putting like a little picture of a bunny on it to like confuse people. No, if it's a leaping bunny, it's cruelty free, and it usually says cruelty free underneath. So look for that.
Yeah.
You don't even have to go through the ingredients.
The other bunny sometimes says friendly to animals and things like that.
Yeah.
And then there's also a sneaky thing that they do where they say vegan, and that's a way to circumvent the fact that they are testing on animals. However, their ingredients are vegan, therefore they're vegan. But yeah, it's still not cruelty free.
Yeah.
So with, I don't know about the whole of India, I can't speak for the whole of India, but at least for Mumbai, the cosmetics that you get, generally, it's quite easy to find out, because I think in the cosmetic world, people are more conscious of being cruelty free. Like I said before, even relatively new brands like K by Katrina, which is, you know, Katrina Kaif's cosmetic line, she's made sure that it's all cruelty free. I'm not sure if it's vegan. I think it might be, because quite a lot of new brands are making sure that they are cruelty free and vegan, because there's been such a change in the way people are buying. They're a lot more conscious of the way they're buying products, right, these days. So with cosmetics, it's easy, right? And even if it doesn't, for example, if you're not in the UK, where you have the Leaping Bunny and you're outside the UK, it's pretty easy to just Google, is this cruelty free?
If you go on to Google or any search engine that you are using, but let's be honest, we're all using Google, right? But like if you just type in brands that are vegan or brands that are cruelty free, it will just give you lists. There are good brands out there, really good brands, really well-known brands, maybe just not advocating enough that they are cruelty free and vegan. Sometimes you really do have to look it up, but they are good. They're good for your skin. You're not harming little bunnies or, you know, anyone else. Like mice, rats. Like, I feel like people don't care about them, but my God, they don't. No one deserves to suffer the way that they do.
Can we also just talk about like the hypocrisy in, you know, the influencer world? The influencers are also people who are generally Gen Z-esque people, especially in the cosmetic influencer side of things. And I don't know of many, especially that are catered towards the South Asian market, who advocate or, you know, specifically say that we only use cruelty-free products. There is one that I can think of, I won't name names, one I can think of who has recently said that she will only use cruelty-free products henceforth. However, she said that anything that she bought prior to turning cruelty-free, she will continue to use. So she's not using completely cruelty-free makeup. She's using like, you know, the makeup that she's bought historically. However, she's becoming more conscious of it. But I don't see many other such examples. I often look at these videos to try and figure out what I'm doing wrong, you know, how I can make myself look a bit more presentable sometimes. But yeah, I'm just not seeing that being advocated for.
It's not just the influencers. Like, my big pet peeve generally is when people are hypocrites, right? Like so many people who are the animal lovers in their social media stuff, and they might even be the face of a company that is known for doing right by animals and all of that. But then they also endorse products that are known to test on animals. Like, known to, like, they've been boycotted by a lot of people. It's so sad because they do it literally for money. They literally just do it they do it for the money, even if they are actually animal lovers, but they just kind of disconnect from the reality. That's why I was saying it's so important for us to actually talk about, what does animal testing mean? What does it actually mean? So we can make conscious decisions. And you know, right, okay, another problem that I face when you talk to people who are a bit ill-informed or less informed is that they say, oh, well, it doesn't make a difference if I stop using this product. It doesn't make a difference. They're still going to keep using it. You know, now I'm talking as a vegetarian. Like, there's always this eating meat versus being a vegetarian debate that always happens, right? When as soon as you tell a non-vegetarian person that you are a vegetarian, the immediate thing is, but what's the point? And then you tell them the animals, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, yeah, but the chicken's already dead. I might as well eat it. But what my point is that so many companies have actually gone to being cruelty free because of the number of people that have changed their where they're spending their money, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It is where you spend your money at the end of the day, and that's why it's sad that people endorse products that they probably don't personally believe in, because then they're leading that demand.
It's a tricky situation, but I think if we just become a bit more informed as a society, where we're getting our food from, where we're getting our products from, what's in our food as well, what's in our products, you know, which companies getting our money, our hard-earned money, you know what I mean? We slog day in, day out to make pennies. So we might as well spend it knowing where it's going and if it's worth it or not.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Rant over.
I think like Body Shop was like the pioneer towards, you know, reaching that cruelty-free status, and they're now vegan as well.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of sad the way that we've let them down, but I think the price point was a little bit too high for what people were willing to pay. But I like their ethos, essentially.
Yeah.
And their products generally. In fact, I use a lot of Body Shop stuff now. I think you mentioned, Shukti, didn't you, that you used mascara?
I use a lot of Body Shop. Firstly, I use the mascara. I use the black eyeliner, like every day. Or at least every day I'm going out. At home,
yeah, the eyeliner's really good.
That. I use the cleanser to take my makeup off. I use the toner. I love the body butters, specifically specifically the rose one, because I don't know, I like rosy smells. And then the serums that we stocked up on over Christmas.
We got a bargain.
That is something Body Shop's really good at. When they've got a sale on, like, get in there.
We got loads.
We got lots of their new serums for quite a low price. I'm using it. I've got my husband using it.
Oh, there was one product, right, the Body Shop stopped doing. It was the Wonky Carrots face wash.
Yeah.
That was really good.
And I loved it, right? And I loved it. And it said on it that it was made out of wonky carrots. And they've discontinued it. And I swore by that because that did wonders for my skin. So we had a shoot in Serbia for one of the films that I was doing. It was like a 40-day schedule in Serbia, and it was freezing cold. You know what happens to your skin when it's freezing cold? It just goes dry and horrible. And this carrot face wash, like, it was orange as well. It smelled like carrots, which is probably not the best smell, but it made it, I was like, I'm not even joking, I was like glowing. Yeah, I was like glowing by the time I came back to, well, I don't know where I went after Serbia. No, I went back to India, So, I was like glowing. I loved it. And I got so many compliments on my skin. And then they discontinued it.
So there was something that I used to swear by. It was like an eye gel, and I can't remember what it was called, but it was so good. And it took all the puffiness out, and it felt really nice and cooling. And they got rid of it, and they replaced it with something that's like £10 more expensive, and I can't justify.
I like the hand creams as well, actually.
They are good, the hemp ones.
Mum really likes
the hemp ones are really nice.
Seed ones,
Yeah, the hemp seed ones are really nice.
She loves that.
Again, I have the rose one because
you like rose everything.
Rosy things. So, oh gosh, my mug.
You just remembered your mug.
Yeah, talk about your mug.
Look, just get it out in the open now. Go on.
Yeah, it's all right.
Acknowledge it. You've mentioned it now. Talk about
so I really like. I collect
mugs.
Okay. Right, like not regular mugs. Like, okay, the mug that I'm having
quick story
tea from now it looks like a cat. Where was it from? I don't know. I'm guessing it was TK Maxx or something. But it's a cat. It's a black and brown spotted cat. And it's just so cute. Anyway, I had one that had a little rose, a pink rose in it. And the boy who I'm supposed to be getting married to.
This might be.
This might be. He broke it. And then he didn't tell me.
For 2 days.
I don't even know when. For 2 days. He must have been petrified, poor thing.
I don't know why I'm staring over here.
He must have been petrified to have not told me for 2 days. Like, I swear to God. I don't even know where I was, that I didn't even realise. It was like a transparent mug with a pink handle and a little rose inside it. So as you're sipping on your tea, like after a while, the tea goes down, you see the rose at the bottom of it. And he broke it. And the worst thing is, right, like day before, so he must have broken it, like, I don't know when. Oh, hang on. I'd gone for my interview, hadn't I? So he must have popped over for something and he's broken it then, because in the evening when my maid came, yes, we have maids in India. People have maids. I'm not a snob. It's just affordable here and I'm not good at housework. Anyway, she even said to me, she was like, oh, I think something's broken because I keep finding glass everywhere. Now, I don't know how he broke this mug that there was glass everywhere. Like there was glass on my bath mat, right?
What?
So what? Yeah,
How did he go that
that's where
far?
exactly. This is and he was
my
like,
gosh.
and do you know what, right? He looked at me and he was like, did you break something?
Oh.
He did.
Oh, he didn't.
He did.
Oh no.
And then I said, and the thing is, right, is that about 3 days ago he broke a golli. Okay, a golli is basically a bowl. Okay,
In Punjabi.
in Punjabi, it's like a small bowl. So he broke a golli, and I was like, and do you know what, right? Because he asked me that, did you break something? For some reason, I felt guilty, and I was like, no.
Oh,
No,
this
no,
is
I
so
didn't.
bad.
And then I'm thinking, oh my God, did I break something? Did I break something? Because, you know, people have brain farts.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, did I break something? Then I was like, oh, it must have been that golli that you broke. And he was like, oh yeah, it must have been that golli.
Oh my goodness.
He must, to be fair, he must have been petrified.
I mean, he did say how he broke it.
Yeah, he was
Can
trying
you
to
explain what happened?
So there was a moth, apparently. There was a moth.
An alleged
I don't think
moth.
I need to explain it beyond that. There was a moth. You can imagine. I think everybody who's listening can use their imagination and understand how this 6 foot tall, buff guy got startled by a moth and broke my rose mug.
Startled being the key word.
And also, right, the way he's told me that he's broken this mug is he's seen that I've logged on to do the podcast and Did and Shrees are like logged on as well. And he's like come up to me before leaving to go to his house and like leaving my peach tea, like maybe my peach tea and gave it to me because I need that for my podcast. And he's like, you won't tell me off in front of your sisters, will you? And I was like, why? What did you do? And he's like, first promise you won't tell me off in front of your sisters. Gosh, man, I do run a... What's that
Tight
saying
ship.
now?
It's a tight
ship. I do.
Listen, we clearly did not play the game catchphrase enough, all right? But
we
I'm great
did.
at catchphrase. I'm brilliant at catchphrase. I'm
we
just not
still
very
don't
good
know
at...
what that saying is from the first episode that she was trying to say.
You know
The
what? It's
spaghetti on the
remembering it
wall.
It's not.
Spaghetti on the
That's what
wall.
we're trying.
That's what we've called. That's what we call it now. Spaghetti on the wall.
But anyway, to get back to the point,
Yeah.
Shrees, so before going vegan, you went cruelty free.
Yeah.
What exactly happened? Like, talk us through. What did you see? What was the inspiration behind it?
It wasn't anything too special. As you guys know, from very early on, I was very into nails and doing my nails and painting my nails.
Mm-hmm.
We've all
Yeah.
seen my nail polish collection. It is
Yeah.
famous in our extended family. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone knows about it. So that is how it started. I was following a YouTuber. This was probably when I was like 13, 14 kind of thing. And she was using a brand that was expensive, but she would speak about it a lot. And I was like, oh man, like I wish I could have that, but like it's too expensive to like even ask for. And then for all the shades that I want, like it's really good quality, whatever. And then I saw online that a good dupe for it is Barry M. And I was like, oh. And I looked online and Barry M was like really affordable. Right? And they've got a ton of colour options. They're changing them constantly as well. Like, they're really good. So I started collecting them, and I think we can all see, I mean, Shukti, every time you come you come back home and you ask me to do your nails, you've seen my Barry M collection.
Yeah.
Like, it's beautiful. Okay? So I started using them, and this was around the same time that, like, I got into Instagram, so I started following Barry M because they kept doing things like, oh, post your nails. And I think this is how I got into the whole nails of the week that I kept posting as well. Was to be featured. I was really, really keen on being featured by Barry M. And yes, I was featured by Barry M. I'm so proud of myself. Yeah, like loads of times because I literally did it like every week, and I would make so much effort. I would not go back to uni after the weekend unless I had done my nails of the week. And that is literally why I was changing them all the time. So I became like such a big fan of them. And on their social media, they would always talk about why they are cruelty free and animal testing and what animals really go through. And there would be pictures of these animals like in crates. You know, like how everyone is aware of, battery farming and all of that. And like, yeah, we buy free range. And that is something for another day because I've got things to say about that as well. But that is how these animals were shown, like literally in cages, all stuck together. And I'm talking like a small cage would have like 7 rabbits just stuffed in and with their ears like poking out of like the squares in the cage. And their eyes are like red raw, they're like bleeding, their skin is raw from like everything that has been like dripped onto them and they've been injected with, and they've got blisters. There was videos of like them having seizures from like the effects of this stuff. There were videos of mice and rats that had like open brain surgery, quite literally. Like they had the skin on their head like cut off so that their brain was exposed, to like so that they could easily tell how they were being affected by drugs and how it was changing the makeup of the neurons in their brain and everything. Like, you know, all this, and it obviously really affected me. And I mean, I was like 18 or something when I was looking at this. Like, that is when I went cruelty free, because I followed them and I was exposed suddenly to what cruelty free actually means and why it's so important to not support animal testing. It does not benefit us enough to be doing it for absolutely everything. I mean, you're telling me that if I want to put eyelashes on, I want to put some blush on my face, that has to be injected into animals and dripped into their eyes to see if the chemicals in it are dangerous for us. Don't put those there in the first place. You know, if we think about like makeup from hundreds and thousands of years ago and it was all natural, they weren't using chemicals and it was safe.
You know, there is another layer of hypocrisy here as well. If you even take the celebrity thing out of it, like how many of us have a pet, a cat or a dog, or generally like the majority of people would have a cat or a dog, right? And they love that pet more than anything, more than life itself, sometimes more than their own family members, right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But they have products on their shelves that are tested on animals because there might be animals that they don't really care about as much.
Yeah.
I don't think people know enough about what animal things have been tested on, because they are tests conducted on dogs and cats and monkeys and rabbits and the animals that are regarded a bit cutesy. It's ignorance at the end of the day.
But yeah, exactly. Because when people think about animal testing, they think rats, right?
Yeah.
They think rats, they think mice. You know, they don't think, oh, my Labrador or my, you know, little Yorkshire Terrier that's, or my, I know, some Persian beautiful cat. You know, they don't think that. They think it's happening somewhere far away and it's got nothing to do with me.
No,
and that's
it's a reason it's hidden. It's a reason it's hidden, because it's not comfortable to know. It's not comfortable to see. And this is why everyone needs to pay better attention to where they're buying things from. And even if some brand is telling you that they're cruelty free and vegan, literally a Google search. How many times do we pick up our phone to do a Google search because we don't know what a word means, or we want to know how many calories something has in it? How long does it take for you to just Google in a brand name and be like, are they cruelty free? Who's their parent company? And are they exporting their products to a country whose laws say that products that are being sold there need to be tested on animals?
So, Shreeya, I think like, you know, when we say about ignorance, I don't think there's an excuse for ignorance as such, because you found out about Barry M and about animal testing through social media.
Yeah.
Right? So that's obviously an example of social media done well. Why do you think the reach in terms of that messaging is so limited? Why do you think the ignorance is still there?
You know, honestly, I don't know. I feel like the brands maybe that are cruelty free and so are not advocating it enough. They're almost hiding behind some kind of pretense that, oh, if we say that, there's going to be some kind of it's like the same thing that people think about vegans. You know, like, oh, if I'm going to go vegan, if I'm going to have plant-based food, then it's going to be more expensive. Or I don't know what they think is going to happen if they suddenly say that we care about animals and we don't want to cause pain and we want to produce our products in a humane way. I don't actually know what it is that they're trying to hide behind.
And also, you know what I think it might be as well, is that there's so much information about everything out there that your algorithm on your social media really has to pick up on you having an interest in this for it to pop up on your social media in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Like Shree's, like for you, it happened like 12 years ago. So there probably wasn't as much content on there as there is now. So the chances of you bumping into this content was more likely than it is now.
A lot more likely,
right?
Because I'm so into animals. Like I'm a really hardcore animal lover.
Like I'm not looking at cruelty free. You are my source of information on that. I'm not looking at it regularly. So it's never on my algorithm on my social media.
It would have never been on my radar. I would have, you know, I would have never known.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
even
yeah.
now, like, you know, when I go online and I'm reading about in the frequently asked questions, when you go onto any company's website, it would say, do you test on animals? And they'll always say, we don't test on animals except where it's required by law. And I would say that's sufficient enough for me, because if it's a legal requirement, there must be something related to that must be important.
Yeah.
But it isn't in reality, because a lot of other brands can do it perfectly fine without testing on animals at all.
Yeah.
Either that or you don't sell to that country anymore. You know, like, you've got to take a stand for it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people aren't doing that. And I find that really kind of saddening. I read something recently about a luxury brand. I'm not going to name which one. And the owner of that brand doesn't like the Leaping Bunny logo.
Doesn't like it.
Right.
Okay.
Because they think that it brings down the premium look of their product. So you're kind of right when you say that for some reason they're not shouting out about the fact that they're cruelty free, even though they want to cater to that population that are more mindful.
Yeah.
They're not shouting it from the rooftops as such.
So I think, I mean, the onus is on us, really, if this is something we care about, which I think more and more people are caring about it. That's why there has been a change with so many brands turning to cruelty free, and especially new brands. Like, if someone's not launching a new brand, they always make sure, not always, but at least the ones that I'm aware of, they generally make sure that they are cruelty free and vegan, either or if not both. So the onus is on us as individuals. Is this something that we care about? Like, even the people that are listening, is this something that you care about? Is it something you want more information on? Let us know. Leave it in the comments. Or if there's any other such topic that we should cover, then kindly do let us know. I think we're nattered out, aren't we, a little bit?
We are not.
Yeah, I think that's a wrap.
Because it's almost 3:00 in the morning for me in Mumbai. But what time is it for you guys?
10:15 at night.
10:15. Okay, so I have it the worst. It's
Yeah.
almost 3:00 in the morning. For some reason, the crows are they've stopped now, actually. The crows. See, crows are scary.
They are.
What is up with
Like,
them?
I don't
What is
know,
up
but
with
just
them?
before we started recording, there were these crows outside my window as well, and they were just screaming.
On 2 separate occasions, one in Mumbai and once in Serbia, a crow has tried to take a clip out of my hair.
Oh, yeah.
And I've never been so scared in my life. And then these crows, like, screaming at it was for the past 15 minutes they've been screaming. I don't know if they're screaming at me to tell me to go to bed. I don't know, it could be that.
Could be.
But I'm
They might be saying,
they're
it's
quiet
dark
now.
out here, turn off your light, you're disturbing us. If they've got a nest out there.
It could be. It could be.
I'd be like,
But anyway.
put the lights out.
But anyway, let's call it a day.
We love the crows. This does not mean start testing on the crows. All right.
Yeah,
we love the
we're just
crows.
scared of them.
We can be scared of animals and still love them on a level.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't want to go and, like, hug a lion.
Live and let live, man.
But they're beautiful creatures.
Yeah, but would you want to go into the wild and be like, "Hi, Mufasa, give us a hug"?
No,
Exactly.
no, thank you.
Exactly. Mufasa be eating you.
If not friend, then
Anyway.
my friend shaped.
Oh, shut
That's what
up.
I struggle with, man. It's not a bad way to go. Like, it's all right.
Headlines: Shreeya of Natter went to hug a lion and got eaten.
You guys know it's going to be me attacked by a cow in a field. Let's be honest. That's how things are going to go down.
Yes.
You'll be thinking,
But
it's coming to hug me, and it's actually coming to run you over.
Which, by the way, I've been witness to in Pondicherry when she went to go and make friends with a giant cow. That was ginormous, that cow. It might have been a bull.
Cow.
I don't know.
It was a small cow.
It was giant. Like, comment, subscribe, share.
And we're out. Bye.
Over and out.
Bye.